here's my problem with rowing, and I'm not saying it's not a good thing to get all your problems out. You know, I'm probably guilty of you know, keeping all mine to myself and leaving it too late to sort that out. My problem with rowing is sometimes in anger you're saying things that actually you wouldn't say, or you'd filter them better. And once they're said, and no matter how much you go, it's fine, they never quite leave your, you know, that's happened a lot to me where people have said things. And I've forgiven them, but I've never forgotten what they've said. It's always been there. So I think it can be a bit difficult. And also, I think once you get to the point, you know, I know that it wasn't just that 2-hour row they had. She said they've been having problems.
Well, she said that
for a while.
That, you know, they're celebrating their 5th wedding anniversary this year, and she said, and this year we hit this rough patch because he's a musician in a band, so he was away touring a lot, his work. She has her work, you know, she's a TV presenter, she has her podcast and small young children. And she said, and we were just kind of drifting apart and things. Then they had this big row, I think out in a park somewhere, this big row where they literally screamed and shouted. And at the end, they were both in tears, but it made them think, actually, you know, we've got a great marriage here, you know, we just need to sort this out. And I thought she uses the word, love takes hard work, which is interesting.
I
people
totally
don't always want
agree
to
with
hear
that.
do they? Think it's all hearts and
No,
flowers.
I totally agree with that. And I never say to people, you know, if you have one... You know, a lot of people have one round, go, that's it, we're over. And I don't believe that. I do think marriage takes hard work. And I think, you know, in my instance, I feel that me and Ray, for instance, for the last probably 4 or 5 years... definitely the last 3, we really fought and tried. But I also think to save it, but not fought, fought to save it. And but I think there comes a point when you've done all that, it's okay as well to say it didn't work, because I'm not going to stay with somebody to please everybody else or to go. We've been together 50 years. I mean, only 5 of them were happy. You know what I mean? That's what's the point.
So, what about? If you and Steve have a row, does it clear the air, or do you fester? Is one of you a sulker? How does it work?
Well, there was a period in our marriage where it was really hard because it was mainly driven by financial reasons. He'd just started a business. I'd just come back from Pakistan adopting Amara. I was at home with 2 kids. He was at work. We were trying to build a life together. And honestly, it was the hardest time of my life. And I do remember just this one day just going, Steve, I can't do this. If this is my life, I just can't do it. And I was so close to saying, that's it, it's over. But my husband, who is an amazing man, you've all met him, he really fought hard to remind me of the fact that this is what happens in a marriage. It's not all smooth. And he just said, look, and I remember him just saying to me, when this hard time is over, you will be sitting with me on a beach and we'll be looking back on our life and going, how did we marry? Because we weren't supposed to marry. You married out of your culture. You were told you can't have children, you had IVF. You were told you can't have a daughter, you went and adopted. We built a business, we did this. We'll be sitting on a beach and you'll be going, do you remember that time when Zach did that? And I thought, my goodness, of course, because I can't do that with a new man in my life.
But can you
the journey...
Can you say when something really hacks you off?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
so I do that all the time.
And I think that's what makes our marriage... That's what makes our marriage stronger.
Why you've had 4 marriages.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I don't think the marriage is ended because I rowed. I think things run their course, and I've said that before. I think, you know, for me, relationships run their course. But now to stay in the relationship that I've been in for many years, that I've had to work really hard at, and so has my partner, I think that I lose my temper over loads and loads of things, but I wouldn't call it a row. I'd just say I have a meltdown, but I've honestly the next day completely forgotten about it. But I think for me, a relationship to work, I can't be with the person all the time. I have to see them, and that time that I am with them has to work and has to be harmonious. So I would think twice about starting an epic row now.
Well, my mum always said to me, pick your battles.
Exactly.
You know, so when you go like, oh, it's really annoying me, he's left the milk out again, it's like, pick your battles. And I often think of her, because often with Eamon and I, it will be the minutiae that we row about, stupid
the little
stuff.
things.
Yeah, that he's left the milk out, or I have left the car.
Sounds like it's some kind of series on Netflix.
That is an intelligent word.
I know, it's lost me.
Minutiae.
Small stuff, Colin.
Go on, the small stuff.
Yeah. No, but you know that I've left the car with no petrol in, which I do all the time because I hate filling up with petrol.
Yeah.
So you bicker, that's low-level
bicker. We bicker. And actually, whenever we've had big rows, which are actually few and far between, like a really massive screaming match, we never revisit them. Because if it's got that big, I believe I'm right, and that's why we're rowing, and he believes he's right, and that's why we're rowing. And so we never really resolve it. You know, we have a row, and then we don't really revisit it. Something will happen, like I'll get a call and say, oh, my mum's not very well, and we're straight back. You know, that's all
reminds
forgotten.
you of it.
It reminds me of why we're married, why we love each other. Or it'll be something to do with Jack. And we don't revisit, because if we revisit it, we'll just row again.
Just go again.
And also, you
again.
can't have an inventory of all the things that they've done that annoy you. I mean, you're in a relationship, not a ledger. It's not a bookkeeping operation.
I think for me, at my time, it would have been quite easy to have walked out, but actually, you know, you need to fight for your marriage, I think.